most of the time the weather is it's hot. It's wicked hot, and I guess, I mean, sometimes, sometimes it's just like in the 90s, and I think, it would get upwards of like 100, 105, 110, depending on the area. There was one area where it was just like 110 every day. It was right on the coast. It was like 90% humidity. It was just, oh, that was terrible. You were just constantly sweating. It was the worst. But the worst part about the whole thing is, even when you're not in an area that's that hot, the humidity is just, it's horrendous. Like, it's just 90% or 100%, or I don't even know what percentages, but it's just, your clothes are just always sticking to you. You're just like always feel like you're sweating. So it's pretty hot. And, they say they have summer and winter. They have 2 seasons. So they'll be like, oh yeah, we're in winter. But their winter is the same exact temperature hot-wise, like hotness-wise, but just rainy. So it's really like rainy and dry season, because it's just hot year-round, but there's one season where it just pours and dumps. And I've never been in rain like I was in El Salvador. I mean, we'd be walking with my companion, and you'd hear like, you're like, what? Like, start looking around. Like, what is that? And you like look behind you, and literally you'd see a wall of water like coming towards you. And so you just take off running. You're just sprinting down the road with your comp. And like, it was so fun. I mean, it was crazy. It was super chaotic. But when it rains there, it dumps. It dumps. And there's I guess like a couple cool stories as far as like storms go. One I just loved because it just kind of like epitomizes for me the way I felt about my mission. So I had a companion, his name was Elder Hammond, and he was just like the man. He's from Blackfoot, Idaho, and I'm from Boise, so like right off the bat we're like, yeah, we're Idaho boys. Like, we're just gonna work everyone into the ground. And so we got together, and we'd both been with kind of tough companions beforehand. It was my second change in the mission, or third change in the mission. So we just like ran every day. Like, every day we were just running from appointment to appointment and just talking with everyone we could. And we hardly knew Spanish. It was our third change. His I think, 4th or 5th. Anyway. But he was like, my brother actually coined this term when he told me about his mission. He was what my brother calls, he was my girlfriend companion. Because every time from then on out when I saw him, my heart would like skip a beat. I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's Elder Hammond. I'd see him at Zone Conference, or I'd see him around the mission. I just thought the world of him. I wanted to be like him, Obviously, I've already said I've had a couple idols in the mission, and Elder Hammond was just, he was an incredible missionary. And so one night, it just started pouring. And we had a tropical rain, or a tropical storm warning. And it was just pouring. And there they don't have like gutters or really good drainage systems or anything. So it was just a cobblestone dirt road in this town, little village thing that we were in. And so the water was like up to our shins, and it's just raging down this street. And it's like the main street of this road, because it was like a village on the side of a hill. And the water's just pouring down, gushing past us. And we had to go down and catch a bus to go do a baptismal interview. So it's just pouring. We're sitting there. We don't have umbrellas. There we always, every single day, we kept our bags inside of like 2 really, really thick plastic bags, or our books, like our scriptures and stuff, inside of our backpacks, so that if it rained, because like even in the middle of the summer, sometimes it would just start pouring, your books wouldn't get ruined. And so, we have our bags and our books, but every time you're just kind of like, I don't know, they're like gonna get wet. You don't want to get your scriptures ruined. Cool thing there is, well, not cool thing, it can be annoying sometimes, is only assistants and zone leaders had cell phones. So district leaders and like junior companions and normal companionships didn't have cell phones. So like a lot of times when it would rain, you're just like, well, I have nothing electronic, like let's just go. So we take off down the street. And at first we're running, and then we're like, you know what, we're soaked. Like, what the heck are we doing running? And so we start walking, and the reason I said at the beginning this epitomizes my mission is just because we start walking, and we put our arms around each other, walking down the middle of the street, and there's all these people on either side in their houses just kind of like looking out, like, who are these 2 gringos just rolling down the street in the middle of the night in pouring rain? And we just started singing Called to Serve, like in Spanish. And I remember thinking, this is exactly what I pictured a mission being like. tough, hard, but the funnest thing I've ever done. Like, it was so cool and so fun. And people often equate their missions with like the hardest 2 years of my life, or like the most challenging 2 years of my life. And I definitely agree to some extent. But the first word that comes to mind for me was the funnest 2 years of my life. Because I worked my tail off, and I don't have any regrets of my mission. I know I could have done things better looking back now, but I did everything that I could, the best that I could, you know? And I think that's all God asks of you. But it was so fun. I mean, you'd get sick. You'd get parasites, and you'd be like, oh, this sucks, but like, when am I ever going to have this again? This is awesome. Like, Paul was having stuff like this, and Peter was getting his like face kicked in. It was just so cool. I don't know, I just loved it.